Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Anvil. I'm your host, Michael Peterson, as usual. Today we're joined with Charles Clayton, right? Am I saying your last
Yep.
name? Okay. Usually I screw up people's last names for some reason, one way or other, so I got it right. Owner, founder of Atlas Knife and Tool. I was saying it completely almost backwards, mixed maths around. So, Charles, if you go ahead and just take it up, I'll shut up and listen.
I'm Charles with Atlas Knife and Tool. Uh, I make the tools that people use for blacksmithing and knife making. The there's always been blacksmith companies making tools. Nobody makes them specifically for knife makers until very recent.
That is true
So,
because I grew up in the knife making industry. My dad's a knife maker. I learned from dad. uh, Between knife making and blacksmithing, most stuff was meant more to the farriers and blacksmithing, as I can recall growing up. Um, Grew up around trip hammers and such like that from a young age. I started forging on a coke forge when I was like 4 years old, mainly burning stuff up as usual. So let's dive into it. So give us a little brief background
sure.
about yourself, and then we'll jump into what made you form your company as it is today.
I'm 53. Well, I'll be 53 on Sunday.
Well, happy early
Um,
birthday.
thank you. Um, I used to fix computers. That was kind of a downhill business. Just computers got cheap, and it was cheaper to buy a new one than to fix them. And on the opposite end, I had started making knives, making forges, and that took off. And this was 15 years ago, long before any of the TV shows did anything. And I, right place, right time.
I'll say. Um, I'm familiar with one of your little forges, a little there's a name for it. I'm drawing a blank this morning. Michael Kernley, Spicy Mike, has got one. Um, I finally got to meet him here back in 2020 at Dustin Rhodes' place. Dustin Rhodes has got a couple of them. Um, we got to play with that. I watched him online doing these little forging things with it, and I thought it was a cool little forge. And then I got to play with it when he brought it up to Dustin's. We had a big gathering at his place, even though it was COVID. 'Cause he's like, "Screw it, let's party something. Let's do something. Everything's closed. Let's have something." So a bunch of us came in, and I flew in. Of course, I was the furthest one next to Brian Rungway. I don't know how to say his last. Brian, I'm sorry, I murdered your last name. So great little
Road.
forge. Um, so what made you get started into making your own forges and then later on go, hey, I got something here. Let's make a company.
Back in the late 80s, no, mid 80s, there was a commercial for the U.S. Marines, and the guy's hammering out a Marine sword, and that was their TV commercial. And I always thought, oh, that'd be so cool to do someday. And then 30 years later, I'm sitting at the computer and thinking, God, I got a little free time. I got a spare back room here at the shop. Why don't I try making one? And I dive into the rabbit hole headlong and just, everything took off from there. Just a string of fortunate events that turned out well for me.
What was your first forge you made?
The first forge I made was very similar to the Atlas forge that we sell now. Um, we don't know what happened to it. It was at a friend's house and it disappeared when he moved. Um,
Somebody
and
had
the
sticky
big
fingers.
the big anvil that I make, the Dave 280-pound anvil, is named after him. And he passed away 5 years ago, not from COVID. Um, Great, fantastic knife maker. Um, he was so supportive of it, and but it was essentially the identical in performance to what I make today.
Nice.
It
What did you
just
make? What did you make that from? Did you make it from a solid block steel? Did you cast it or?
it was 5 inch or 4.5 inch structural square tubing, 1/4 inch wall. I had these 1/4 inch round legs on it, going down to a 6 inch C channel. Had a handle on top, had a burner sticking straight in from the side, and it was just a blowtorch.
Nice.
TS 8000, which is what everybody used for small forges back then. It was two insulating fire bricks cut in half, shoved in there, and then a hole down the middle. Just super simple.
Simple, heat it up, melt it, one of the two if you're not careful, like sometimes that happens. Um, when you said you made an anvil, what was that exactly? What made you decide to make your own anvil?
After about 8 years of making forges, nope, this was before VBOR, before the Acal anvils came out. There were no knife maker anvils. Okay, we should back up.
All right.
20, 20, 2012, I'm at the Knife Dogs Hammer Inn up in Mankato, Minnesota. USA Knife Maker used to go all out in their hammer ins. They'd have Peter Martin, Johnson, just big names of the knife community before Forged in Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And a side note, they had a tape, which was they filmed the pilot episode of Forged in Fire. And Peter had that tape with him, I believe.
Nice. That'd be cool to
And
see that first episode. I've heard so
and
much about it, but
oh yeah, they're all sitting around the table and we're talking, and there's a post anvil up there at the Knife Dogs that is just great to work on. It's just a 4x4 square, and it's in this big adjustable stand built in, and everybody loves this anvil. And we're get to talking about what you need in an anvil for knife making versus blacksmithing or being a farrier. And we're like, you just need that block, but it'd be nice to have a hardy added to it.
mm-hmm.
Kind of gets off to the wayside. Like I said, 2017, I start to think the forges are selling really well, but people have trouble finding anvils because by this point we're in season 4 of Forged in Fire, I think, and anvil prices are way up here. I mean, just
Mm.
through the roof because nobody's selling them. And I start doing the research. That there's unfortunately no factories left in America that are capable or willing to produce a small
Matter of
amount of
fact,
anvils.
speaking of that, we just lost Holland Anvil
We did.
not too long ago. And that I saw that and I just like that
I'm,
was
I am in a, a state of disbelief on that. It wasn't real for me until I saw the auction with all the equipment going, and I call up Greg. I'm like, Greg, what's going on? And he's been so supportive. Um,
um I wish I
and we're
had I wish I had some friends with some big pockets. I kind of do, but wish I had some friends with some big pockets who would like to, because that would have been fun to buy all that, bring that out here and try to keep it going. And I understand why they had after 80 years and with economics and the price of steel anymore. Because let's
yep.
face it, we don't even I don't think we even make any high carbon steels. All our knife making steels come from Germany that I know of. I mean, you can get a little bit out of Italy. I think you can get some out of France. But the main that tends to come out of Germany. I don't think we make any high carbon here anymore.
Um, well, Crucible closed, and they had plants here, mills here in the U.S., but I don't know which ones were made where. They don't really want to tell you,
Hmm.
understandably. Um, but one day I'm like, let's go back and revisit this knife maker anvil design that everybody we kind of worked up together. And I get an Alibaba, which was relatively new back then, and I've I've got one contact over there, and I went through probably four different factories making anvils. I was never really happy with the quality of, and I finally found one now that I'm really happy with the quality. I get less than a 1% rejection rate. I've got them trained to, you know, this isn't good. We don't not going to send this to them.
Nice. Is this cast anvil or is it forged or cast
They're
steel?
they're
Cast.
cast.
Okay. With a hardy plate on it, or is it cast steel?
No, it's cast steel. One
Okay.
piece.
Nice.
4140s are chosen alloy.
Nice.
We did
Okay.
one batch. Well, I've had three different alloys. We did one batch that was 1045, um, same steel that Alex Steele's anvil was made out of. Um, not very tough. It's just a high carbon steel. Uh, the first
4140.
batch, the first batch of Dave anvils were 9240 or 9260.
Mhm.
It's like 8670, a little bit of chromium, a little bit of nickel. Super tough, super expensive. Um,
I gotta
since
say,
then, it's
4140 seems to be probably a lot more available. It's used in a lot of things from hammers, from our hammer dies, my trip hammer dies, I believe, are made from that. I mean, even a lot of equipment on farm equipment, the drive shafts on certain equipment is made from. So I could see why you went with 4140 because it's a little bit more available, and such.
it,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
oh, no problem. It 4140 is a known quantity. We know what it is. We know how it reacts.
Yes.
If Hay Budden could have used 4140 150 years ago, you bet they would have.
Yes. I've got I've got a couple old anvils. The big one I got 310 pound Peterite that my dad gave me. Wow. Okay. It's on loan until he passes away, and if my mom doesn't want it back, then I guess I can have it. Close quote. That's a quote from Dad. So it actually came out of it's the old forged. You know, there's got the bottom part's cast and the top part's forged. You can see the old hammer marks from the machine back in the day. I'm not sure how old it is. I do know it came out of the old blacksmith shop in Price, Utah, and that's been many moons ago. I I be like I learned on that anvil as a small kid. I'm 40 years old. Dad's been forging on and off since he was little. About the time, about mid 80s, early to mid 80s, about the time I was born, he started learning how to make knives. He's always had a thing for it. He learned from Bus Skowronski and Jim Ents, and then took a Damascus making class from Bill Moran. So kind of got a little bit of, and of course, I grew up around all this. That's something I was always around and different things and such. So I was kind of naive on a lot of people's shop. I figured people had shops like we had, you know. Again, I grew up for having tools, so I was a spoiled when it comes to knife tools and blacksmithing tools. I was a spoiled little shit. Didn't realize it until Forge and Fire, and I've been around to a few hammer-ins when I was a kid, but never really appreciated it until I got older. And then Forge and Fire, and then that connection, that whole world opened up of a whole new family, which is awesome. Um, and then seeing everybody else's shop is like, oh boy, I guess I was a spoiled little shit. Seeing how everybody, you know, hearing the stories everybody started with and built their shop up and everything. It's like, so they're like, oh, I've always had that. Anyway, sorry, go
You know,
ahead.
I've got a theory on that.
Yes, sir.
When we were kids, car shows were big. The old
Yes,
cars.
yes.
Every, every just joking that we say every red-blooded American male had a classic car they were working on, and cars kind of went downhill. Nobody wanted a car from the 70s or 80s as a
No.
classic car.
I kind of like
So
Joe Rogan's theory about that, but we'll get into that later.
So the money from that, they would have put into a car, they've now got power hammers and
Mm.
grinders. And people don't realize how expensive these tools are. When you and I were first into knife making, you might you might have had one. I might have known somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who knew you. And
Right.
that was my relationship to a power hammer. And
Um,
now people go out and they get the power hammer because they're not doing the car thing anymore.
car things starting to come back since Fortune Fires sounds like it's done with, and prices on anvils and tools, everything's coming back down. Thank God. Um, uh, where was I going with this? I like my little giant. I got two little giants. I got a 25 and a 50. The 25 pounder was a birthday gift for my parents. They found it a couple towns over, laying in the dirt. Gal wanted $100 for it. Dad gave her 200. Of course, it was worth, it's worth, somewhere between 2,000 and right now I think it's somewhere about 2,500 and 4 grand, depending on where you're
Yeah.
at. Some years later, I found well, actually, a friend of mine sent me a picture of this 25-pound hammer that looked like pretty much brand new. It had two different paint jobs on it, hardly ever used for 2,500 bucks. Oh, I did the magical trick and pulled that out of my backside and went and got it and got chewed out. You shouldn't have. Why did you come back early? Oh, I forgot to mention this. I had to go get this. It was either go get it now or lose it. So I stole that 2,500. Excuse me, that 50 pounder for 2,500 bucks, which was a smoking deal 5 6 years ago. So
Absolutely.
um, well, here I got some questions here. I'm sorry, I'm kind of still trying to wake up. I'm on a second cup of coffee here. Uh, I'm gonna try to be kind of professional. I suck at reading the things out loud, so bear with me. You built your forges in 12 by 12 room behind your computer store, um, shipping container at the farm, and now a 3,000 square foot warehouse. How did each of those phases shape your company?
Um, I was limited. When I was in the computer shop, um, I didn't have room to experiment, to do testing. I couldn't really run the forges inside. Um, and because I was in kind of a strip mall, I couldn't take them outside and test them either. I had to take them home at night, test them, bring them back, make these changes, make those changes. Um, when I went full time out at the farm, um, that really opened it up, and I could start to expand. The problem was shipping containers only so big. I had a second one brought in just to store materials in. I mean, I'm not sitting there with a drill cutting them because I used to cut everything by hand, drill everything by hand. It got to a certain point when I was doing 400 a year. I got to go talk to a factory and see what we can do to get these plasma or water jet or laser.
Man, that's sure
And
nice to have those, ain't that?
oh, it is. It's even better to know somebody with one.
Yes. I've got a plasma cutter I got from Dustin. I need to sit down with it and play with it more. I've just been kind of busy because it does help out. And I'm kind of glad you brought that up because I got thinking about that as we're in a conversation here is, all these new tools, the plasma cutter, the routers, the desktop water jets and everything. Um, with all this stuff, all this technology coming more and more cheaper, I'm going to tell you one thing. I think the big knife companies are going to be on the run here soon because yes, we're still a lot of guys are still going to make their handmade knives, but there's some things that for me, I want to get to a little bit of level where I have a few more people working under me, doing what I do. But like with these, I'm doing friction folders right now, and I have to cut out every little piece all by hand. There's certain materials like the carbon fiber, the G10 the metal liners and such. If I could put a sheet of that in there and just cut it out so I could just stack that, make things a little quicker, I can make my prices come down just a little bit. The Damascus I still make myself and cut out, but I got thinking like as we're conversating here, it's like man, that's probably gonna in the next few years is gonna level the playing field with a lot of these big manufacturers. I think. I mean, a lot of guys are still shipping that stuff overseas. I think you're going to see a lot more. Well, like Montana Knife Company, John Smith's company.
Yep.
I've been watching his videos and everything else. I'd love to get him on this show. And it's just like he's doing where I want. He's doing what he wants to do. I kind of want to be on that level, but still going from the forge, maybe stock removal, but doing that. Take what I'm doing and do it on a small scale manufacturing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you get it, but I keep getting Facebook ads for these little compact CNC lasers
Mm-hmm.
and the Wazer water jet. And I'm like, these are getting down to that price level where they're not completely out of the realm of feasibility for a small shop.
Yes. I mean, even the lasers and I think Pat Bing, shout out to Pat there, Howling Wolf. He's got a 60-watt laser, and it was pretty good price for I think what he told me. I can't remember exactly, but that stuff's coming down. He's making stamps and a few other things, and
Yep.
that's really cool. I think it's gonna. Of course, there's going to be that little, oh, everyone can do it now. You're going to have that little bump like Forge and Fire. Everybody started making knives. Well, it's going to be maybe a little bump, and then it's going to flare off, and the market will weed out the ones that, yeah, that was a cool idea, but not so much anymore, and go back to doing what they were doing. So, um, so just out of curiosity, funny story, anything kind of what you sit back, you got to go back and go, you look at it and go, what was I thinking kind of moment in the last few years? I said that
Um,
look, there's a story here. I can't wait to hear it.
no, actually not.
Oh,
I've been very lucky. I'm known for doing a lot of testing, a lot of prototyping. Um, Maybe early on there were a couple prototypes that we gave away at different hammer ends and such. We had an Atlas with two burner ports in it, trying to get it hot. Well, the obvious solution was just get a better burner. Little things like that. Otherwise, I've been blessed that I think of these things and they work. They just, I'm so close to final production when it pops into my head that it's like, oh, I just got to change this. That's the only problem with it. I couldn't plan for better luck in that regard.
that's a good point. You recently posted a picture of a fan and a burner and feeder part in that. Um, do you sell that individually out of curiosity? Because I saw that because I want to build me a little side burner to do a little bit of blacksmithing and such like that. And a side burner forge. Sorry, I should be more specific here. Look, I said that word right. Yay me. Coffee's working in here today. Um, so I look at that and I want to build me a little forge because I want just to have fun with it too. I have another burner that I could use off the back end of my devil's forge, but I'm looking at that, it's like, well, I'd like to have it be able to forge well a little bit better. And that double forge burner, it works for good for forging out stuff, drawing, doing blades and such. But
Yeah.
get it up to forge well temperature, not so much. But I would like to get a hold of that, build me a little side burner forge so I could do a few other things that I want to do. Tell us a little bit about that and how you came up with that, because that looks like a really cool. I like that. That is sleek and looks like you get it. I've seen a couple videos of the one forge there you got, and it looks like it's you could melt some steel with that.
It is. There was forced air burners or blown burners invariably use the Dayton 178 cubic feet per minute blower.
Hmm.
That's standard, always was. You still see it today. It's this big honking blower. And I'm doing the math when I'm building my forges. I'm like, you only need like 8 cubic feet per minute. Like, why are we using this 180 cubic foot per minute blower?
I
So
wonder if
I
that
buy
has
one.
to. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I kind of wonder if that has to do because of the old coke and coal forges. I wonder.
Maybe. Um, and the thing is, they'd put a gate on there and restrict the flow so much. And I'm like, the first one was basically a fan with duct tape. And I'm like, this actually works.
That reminds me
And
of the
then,
Red Green show.
yeah. And then, sorry, there's the air compressor.
I can't
Hopefully you
even
can
hear
still
it.
hear me. Good. So the first one was duct tape. The second one was a little fancier. Then 3D printing comes along, and I'm going to buy the 3D printer and make these little connectors, and they're not good. I end up getting some injection molded, expensive. They work, but there's still design issues. We've got that J-shaped tube now, and they just work. Got the blowers, and they're like 18 cubic foot per minute, and your limit is the tube size. So now
There's a
we've got
joke
a
in there, and I'm trying to avoid that. That's what she said. Sorry, I had to say that. I had to throw that out there. I'm well known for that. That's what she said, and Suber, because we again I party at Dustin Rhodes one place, and I was texting some friends, and the word Suber, not sober. I'm not Suber. And ever since I've been dubbed with that. That was a fun night. But anyway, continue. I apologize.
no problem. So we, the only reason I got into the blown burners was the bigger gram forge that I was trying to make. There was too much back pressure in it, and the Venturi could not force the fuel into the chamber well enough, and it would sputter, and you'd have problems.
Backfire,
And
which is not
and
good.
no, no, and the blown burner solves all those issues. Um,
So in
and
your
then
design,
people,
oh, sorry.
sorry,
I thought you were done there. My bad.
there's a marketing feature of blown burners. People think they're magic. They're not. A pound of fuel only produces so many BTU. Doesn't matter whether it has a fan or not. But people still like it, so sell it.
Okay. Um, so in your design process, when when you came up with the fan, let's dive into the fan part here. Did you do a lot of that through trial and error and just went and built it, or are you some like me for something? If I come up with an idea or something, I don't waste my time with pen and paper because I just can't draw with a shit. I don't have the patience for it. So do you go from pen and paper to concept, trial and error, or just, I mean, how's that design period for you on the fans or anything else?
Lately, I've done more actual drawing, not drawing, but 3D modeling on Tinkercad. Um, I've been around CAD since '82. I mean, I grew up with it in the
Computers
house.
were, yeah.
Yes. Uh, Actually, the first CAD program I used was on the Apple II, which goes back quite a ways. It was,
So you're dating yourself a little bit here, bud.
yeah. But I was 10, 9 or 10 when I first used it. And my brother's really great at CAD. Dad was good at CAD. I never wanted anything to do with it.
And here now, look what you're doing.
And, and here now it's like, okay, here's my designs. I got them drawing out and 3D diagrams, and like I never thought I'd be doing that.
Speaking of old computers, did you ever play the schools all had it, the Oregon Trail? You put the great big floppy disk in, and then put the other big the drive one that tells the computer how to drive, and then you get the disk, the great big. Do you ever remember those?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, the 8 inch floppies.
Yes, I remember playing that in elementary school. So that was interesting. The big computer labs we had. Now I don't think they even have computer labs anymore. Really, I think everybody's got a computer at school now. at
Yep.
least they do it in high school. So maybe I should have paid more attention in computer science, I guess. I still can't type. I chicken peck. So, I just when you're talking about the old computer there, did that popped in my head and such. So, um, let's get back to a squirrel moment. I call those, like I said, I've called those my squirrel moments. One question here. So the owner of Knife Dogs told you that if you can build them, I can sell them. How did that moment change your direction of your business?
Um, I first I was um, grateful. I was proud. I was proud of that. This design I came up with, nothing like anything out there. And they see something in it, and I'm like, "Ooh, good! I did a good job."
I
And then I start to actually build them. And the first ones were, oh, it was 8 hours to build each one. It was not just slap pieces together. It was a lot of work. Um, I figured, okay, maybe I'll, like most knife makers, do sell enough to pay for my hobby. I it just kind of like a frog in a boiling pot of water. You slowly turn the heat up, and you don't realize, hey, I'm doing this full time now.
right.
It it was never a plan.
And it's like like take that instance, like some of the people who took my knife classes. I have a few guys that took the knife class and they got bit. And a few $1,000s later, they've had a bunch of equipment and making it. And well, I just wanted to take the knife class, but I had so much fun, I had to go home and try it. And then I bought this, and then I bought this, and I bought that, and I'm $10,000 into it so far. So. And they make it on the side and give away and such, and some do try to, some have sold. Um, so the Mini Atlas Forge. Let's talk about that. I got to play with that. That is a very cool concept, very compact blade. I've heard you can run that up to like $1 an hour. A 5 gallon little 4.5, 5 gallon propane tank will last you almost 20 hours straight with that burning. Let's talk about that. Tell us a little bit more how um your first reaction when you got that built. What was the first reaction to that forge?
Um, I had never worked on a forge before. I'm purely stock removable prior to that, and I'm looking at the not Don Fogg's site, but somebody's site, and they got all their designs. You make the sidearm burner, which nobody makes today. I mean, I haven't seen a sidearm burner in the last 5 years. Um, I had made it looking off just different ones, and I'm like, okay, what's the common feature? Frank Lloyd Wright, form follows function. What is it supposed to do? What's the best way to do it? I was a computer guy and a bit of a programmer, and part of programming is back then was make your code efficient. You don't want extra stuff that doesn't need to be there. And I took that into the knife making and forge building.
That's cool.
And, and it just worked out really well that it's like, this is the bare minimum of what you need. What do you need for a frame? You just need to hold the bricks together. I made one where it was just the wire mesh wrapped around the bricks. It worked great. Um, it just worked out to be a good solid design. I never figured I'd have thousands of them out there. You mentioned different big names, and a lot of them have my products in their shops.
Correction. So they probably do now,
Huh?
don't they? Do they
Oh,
now?
oh yeah, yeah. Um, you mentioned Josh Smith up in Montana.
Hmm.
He's got one of my forges.
Nice.
You name a big name, they probably have one or have worked on one and have given good reviews of it. Different schools. There's a knife maker school in Switzerland. They've been making knives for 250 years.
Nice.
My forge, one I sold them at Blade, is what they now use for their final exam. And
That's
they go
cool.
through and they forge out a folder in that forge. It's like,
All right,
that's,
how do we sign up for this
wow.
class and go over? That would be fun to go. That would be cool to go over
Oh,
and do.
oh yeah. Because they've been doing it, you know, as since America was founded. They've been making knives over there.
That would be cool. Now other countries got weird knife laws, and some of our states have got some really stupid knife laws. They're probably worse than some of the rest of the world. England suck on their knife laws. It's kind
Oh
of
yeah.
fun. It's kind of fun to see what, like some of my dad's knives. I've had people reach out over the years, last few years, and I had a guy from Finland send me a picture. He says, "Hey, I bought this knife on an online auction. Can you give me an idea what it was originally worth and what you would be worth today?" And I looked at him like, "How much did you pay for this?" It basically boiled down to like $50 US. And I says, "Well, you got to steal because that was like a $300-400 knife at the time. It was one of my dad's earlier ones, and I kind of gave it the value between somewhere between 800 and 1500 on the collectible market because it was a two-piece steel Damascus bolster, and I can't remember I think it was, I want to say ram's horn handle on it. And back when my dad's first, early 90s, before we moved to the farm kind of style, because I just, you look at it, when that knife was kind of more or less made. And how I know that, I don't know. I just do, I guess. I guess I paid a little more attention when I was a kid, but it's just kind of cool to see that. But to hear that one of a school that's been teaching knife making for 200 years has one of your one of your forges in that, that's just absolutely awesome. That would be fun to go over there and all right, road trip, everybody, get your passports. Let's go. Um,
You know,
oh,
I'd really like to go to Pakistan to see the knife make. I know they get a bad rap, and you're looking at me funny, but if you've ever looked into some of the quality coming out of there, at the higher end, there's some amazing stuff coming out of there.
well, I haven't seen the higher end stuff. All I've been seeing is the junk that people keep bringing to my shop to sharpen that's made me money.
Oh yeah,
So,
oh yeah. But there, I follow a few makers from there, and I mean, they've got feather Damascus patterns and just really high end stuff. We're we tend to forget that the rest of the world makes knives too,
we do.
and there are good. I mean, there's meals down in South Africa you would have never expected.
Oh yeah, I phoned
Um,
Neil. I've been gonna reach out and see if I can get him on here. That's gonna be fun coordinating time zones.
oh yeah, oh yeah. They're just anywhere. There's knives made. There's a knife culture everywhere in the world.
Yes. And like you said, I granted I see that, but I get bombarded by these guys from Pakistan that are the trash makers that are just do
Oh
do 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 do
yeah,
do do. I kind of wish those in Pakistan who actually make good quality. I wish they'd start policing themselves a little bit like we kind of do in this country.
yeah,
And then that's the reason why they're getting the bad rep because they come. I've had people send me screenshots of fake profiles. It's had my knife on there, several other guys' knives on there. That right there is what's ruining it for the good knife makers there are in Pakistan. And it's hard to say that because I get harassed by them guys weekly, almost there for a
yeah,
while. It was daily to my website, to my page on Facebook and every other social media, and it's the same copy paste. Oh, well, high quality Damascus, and like, no, your shit's not. Pardon my French. So, uh, but I get what you're saying, And one
You
thing a
mean
lot,
Damascus is more than $8 a pound?
yeah, a bumper steel and baling wire. Um, so and and we got our junk makers here too. I mean, pick guys that just want to make money and say, oh, you look at it like, bud, you're onto something if you put a little more time and effort into it, and you could actually make something. But those guys that just want to make that quick buck for junk.
Yep.
Um, One thing it is kind of cool. We are talking about the world. Woots was actually Woot Steel, the old original Damascus, was actually made in India. And then I was reading some stuff a while back, and I had to go back and make sure it's correct. So if anybody's listening to this and I'm missing some information, please correct me in the comments of wherever you're listening to this. I understand it. What they kind of perfected the Woots in India, and then later was traded to the king of Persia, and then up in Damascus and all that. That's where it kind of got refined and changed up, and then along the trade routes is spread out through the rest of the world. And then it kind of died out after up till about Bill Moran started making forging knives and making the forge welding steel together. So hope that made sense. Sorry, squirrel moment.
No, we could talk about the history of the one mine they had that had the super high quality steel over there, and then it depleted, and knife quality around the world dropped because of it.
Yes. Um,
But their history goes back long before us. That's where it came from.
yes, it is. And we kind I like to say we perfected it, but no, we really probably haven't. But a lot of guys, we've got some really amazing knife makers like JD Randall, Jay Nielsen. I had Jay Nielsen on here, and a few other guys I'm probably spacing out, and a few gals too. Kelly Vella out of California, she makes some beautiful. Jim Poor and his dad, their stuff pops up. It's like wow. And then Claudia Sobral out of uh, Brazil. I don't know if you follow
So
him.
yeah,
He posted a knife the other day, and it's like when you see his stuff, I reevaluate my whole life here. It's like, what am I doing? That makes sense, you know. So what are some of the here's an idea. Here's a quick question. I know I came up with some that just popped in my head. What are some of the crazy stories you've heard about your forges being used for? Or have you heard any?
um,
They cook good hot dogs, by
Michael,
the way.
Mike, yeah, Michael Curley uses his on. He's he sits it back on end, sits it straight up vertical for his heat treating. I
True.
still don't know why more people don't do that. That works great.
I
Um,
believe he said he before he built his other one, he was using it there for a little bit to forge weld a little. That little mini Atlas forge, it got
yeah,
just hot enough to forge weld. He's used the hell out of that mini Atlas. I mean, he's really put it through the ropes. I mean, I think he finally had to rebuild his first one.
yeah. I sent him some parts um, last year, year before maybe,
I think it's a couple
but
years ago.
he had an old one. He was early in the adoption of it.
And that's the first time I ever heard of Atlas Forges was with Spicy Mike. Shout out to the Spicy. We had him on here too. I ought to get him back on
Oh,
because he's got him a 3D printer and he started playing around with fishing lures. So I need to do a revisit on that. But um oh hell, so but yeah, it's a great little forge. If Ben gonna buy one, it would definitely be awesome for knife making classes, especially maybe doing events and such like that instead of packing that great big two burner double forge that I burned out and I took bricks and refractory cement and everything else. Excuse me real quick. Um,
well, one of the advantages of it is that it we have two different size burners.
oh, I didn't.
Every other every other forge out there, they've got a burner. Most of them don't tell you how many BTU it produces. We actually have a 30,000 and 100,000 BTU burner.
Ooh.
And the chamber design of the smaller Atlas, you can use that smaller burner, which means for a school where you've got five or six of them inside a room, you're producing 150,000 BTU, which is a fair amount of heat. That's a little bigger than a household furnace. But the other option is you got 500,000 burners. That's like running three furnaces in one room. That's just too much heat.
Mm. I mean, like I said, it's a cute little forge. I think I Dustin Rhodes does the Forge of Memory, and that's all I think he runs anymore. He used to run a double forge in his old shop, and then he had a big 5 burner Majestic, and
Yep.
now he's just down to that the little mini Atlas. I think he's got one size bigger, if I remember correctly, but it sits off the side. But he absolutely loves the shit out of that. He forges the hell out of. I mean, little 2 inch. You would never have thought a little. Again, I grew up on the coke forge, the old big old running coke, or a little coal forge and such. So I kind of thought using propane, oh whatever. Gotten a little older now. I bought one because when I started doing knife classes, people that's never forged before, hey, watch your heat on the coke forge. It was a lot harder for them. Plus, coke went up on price to get it out here. We don't manufacture coke out here in Utah anymore. Thanks Geneva Steel got shut down 20 some years ago. Who had to import it, and thanks to COVID, the guy that did it bring it in. His business got shut down because one of the local foundries shut down because of COVID, and they were biting these fines to smelt all their stuff and cast. So he couldn't sell his fines. That was paying. That was his. I guess the bread and butter of the whole operation. That covered a lot of the expensive of bringing it in on the train because he had to bring it in from back east. Our coal out here is thermal coal. Not good, not really all that great. You can forge in it, but it's dirty coal. Um, but so I brought a truck in, and it cost us about $800 a ton. That's with freight. So it's like I had to think a little bit different. So I got online, bought me a double forge. I'm sitting there, all right, and I fell in love with it. I was like, God, this is nice. I'll just do all my blades with this and save the coke for building steel. Well, I'm getting older. I'm tired of making steel with coke because about every third weld, you got to stop, clean your forge out, pull the clinker out. Of course, that's a lot of heat, even with welding gloves. It's like I'm tired of burning myself. So um, I got a Texas forge, one of the ribbon burner forges to play with, and uh, I've got to learn all over how to forge. Different heat source, different thing. Because I used to kind of start watching for that little sparkler to start. Okay, ready, pull it out just before it get turned to a sparkler. But now I'm running that propane forge, and I've
It
got
never gets it.
you get right to it where it starts smoking real good. And thanks to Jay Nielsen on an episode of Forge and Fire. You get when they pull out, there's your good sign of where it's smoking. And if it's smoking real good and you got that good smoke coming off your steel, and I've never thought about steel smoking, and we're talking the steel smoking, not a good cigar or anything like that. But so shout out to Jay on that. It's like, okay, so that is true. So far, I've only burned off the very tip of it because I kind of got distracted for a minute, and part of the front was kind of frayed out a little bit. And it burned off on me. So far, it's been pretty good. And one thing I have noticed from going from a coke forge to a propane forge, and I don't know if anybody else has had this experience, but I can see the difference in the steel, and I can feel it between it when I use the steel that I made in the coke forge, it's compared to the propane forge, and I don't know why, but it's different to me by looking at the steel compared to either one. So I don't know if you've had heard of that before or not.
That I haven't. Um, that they're first off, long live propane. Uh, my lungs don't handle coal at all. Guy that works for me does the Pioneer Hall blacksmith exhibit at the state fair, and I go in for a few hours, but the cold just kills me. I'm coughing the next day, and
That's another thing with me with the coke dust and such. I was getting kind of tired of that because you sit there and kind of, even though I stayed back and I got a very open shop there, but yeah, I understand that too. So it's one thing I've noticed. It's kind of nice, even though we got this thing's got forge wool. I guess is a ceramic wool. Now, what yours don't use a ceramic wool? You use something else, correct?
correct.
What what
We
what are you using, and what is the advantages of that over forge wool or ceramic wool or whatever?
Ends wool or kale wool is a great insulator. It's not very durable, however.
Especially when it
You
comes to flux.
yeah, you brush against it, little fibers break off, go into your lungs, cause silicosis, not cancer. Silicosis still isn't good for you. Um,
Hey, we got to
but
get out of this world somehow. No, just kidding.
even more, it's just not going to hold up. I mean, the stuff is a little stronger than tissue paper on its own.
Mm.
It you
I
stick
wouldn't
metal
recommend
in.
using it as tissue paper though, especially for wiping. That would be kind of fibrous. But
Oh,
sorry. Bad
um,
middle noise. Bad middle noise. Ah.
but one of the things I've researched over the years with the different refractories is how durable they are. And the Mullite bricks, which are the modern insulating fire bricks, are far more durable than the old organic bricks. And the old organic bricks were still far more durable than the wool.
Yes.
Wool is cheap, it's easy to put in, it insulates great, but it doesn't hold up. That's why now they're starting to come with a bag of rigidizer. I've sold maybe 15 forges that had wool. They were wool based. Before we started casting the big ones, they were wool, and I included the bag of rigidizer. I don't know why they don't, but you got to go on your own, get it yourself, put it in. I found the casting the bricks myself and then just casting directly into the forged shell was actually easier for me to do than trying to cut these bricks, fit them inside, and it's better for everybody. It's a win-win because
Well, then
they're so much more durable.
I'm gonna say because you doing it that way and casting it like a cast or a forged part, you don't get those seams where the bricks touching where heat can escape through. The thermodynamics of it, as you can tell so far, definitely definitely no waste of heat there, and it's keep containing of it. Do you sell just the mix itself by chance for
We
people?
do, we do.
Sweet,
Um,
good to know. I might be buying a bag.
and actually, one of the products we found is the Plistix 900F. Wayne from High Tip Tools used to sell it. I haven't seen Wayne in years. I don't know what happened to him. I wish I did. I'm sure he's doing something different these days, probably. Um, but everybody was using ITC 100, which just kept getting more expensive. Um,
Why is that?
uh, it was a niche product, and it got sold kind of like how insulin got really expensive there a couple years ago. It got
Government?
sold to Yep, it got sold to someone new, and they jacked the price up. Got sold to someone else, and they made it even more expensive. And this Plastix is a very similar material. It's just alumina. It's 94% alumina. It turns to ceramic when it's fired. And now we include a little bag of it with every forge we sell, and it just makes it even that much tougher. You can use our forges without it, but this stuff just improves the life of
And it definitely shows because, like I said, with that early forge of that Spicy Mike got from you, um, up till like 2 years ago, I think it's the first time he had to reline it, and he had that for a long time before that. I mean, it really holds up. So, I
it. 7 or 8 years.
yeah, um, he, oh yeah, long time because he had it
It,
back when I think he went on when he went on Forge and Fire, I think. God, has it been that long already? I mean, seriously, I mean, it's just like, seems just like the other day, it was just like a few weeks ago that went on Forge Fire, all that, but it's been 7, 8 years now. It's like, wow, where has time gone? I mean, I work full time for myself. I did went kind of did a couple different jobs a year ago, learned my lesson. Probably like been trying to find some part-time work. Probably gonna go talk to a company about doing a fill-in driver for them. I honestly just don't want to work for anybody else anymore after working for myself. And did pretty successful up till the economy went, thanks to he that shall not be named, ruined it. But it's starting to pick up slowly. It's going to get, hopefully in the next few years, we're going to see a lot more uptick. Maybe, I'm not saying shoot straight to the moon, but get where, back where, similar to where I was. It won't be the same, but it'll be different. Like I said, I'm kind of converting over to friction folders. Um, I am going to try some lock back once I get these friction folders dialed in, where I get bored with it. So I got to try something, do something new. But I still make my steel. Um, and I use a lot of cable. I do a little bit of random here and there. Don't really care to do the random. I've done it for so many years. I'm kind of bored with it. And now making cable is more of a challenge itself because making good solid cable itself is pretty tricky. So maybe when
oh
I
yeah,
get a money ahead eventually, I definitely would like to get one of your forges and try it out. I definitely want to get one of your burners and maybe a bag of that stuff. And that probably sounds, instead of cutting the brick down for a side burner, because there's some blacksmithing stuff I want to do. Um, the little Devil's Forge is not wide enough. I want to do well because I like doing those forge crosses, the split crosses and forging them out. Them are
yeah.
so I'd like to get something else. But looking at that burner with the blower on it, that's where I want to go with it, not just a natural aspirator. Because again, like I said earlier, I want to be able to forge weld with that. So besides knife making and making forges and such, any other side hobbies besides, you took a hobby making forges and tools and everything else? Anything else you like to do? Hunt, fish?
Uh, oh, I love fishing. Um, yeah, not as much fishing lately as I when the kids were younger, we'd go 2, 3 times a week, just go down to the lake and fish. And life got in the way, and then they got older, and just doesn't happen as much. But love to fish, love the dog. He's the shop dog is great. You've probably seen pictures of him on my Facebook feed. Um, when I release a new product, I've usually got him there in the picture somewhere.
When you're our
Um,
age, you definitely want to have a dog because I've got a teenage daughter. At least the dog's happy to see you come home, right? Or come to the shop. Oh, that's
Absolutely.
an old joke. You heard that. I heard that growing up and everything. Never really understood it till now. It's like, that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
anything
You,
else
you,
would you like to share and such, besides all
well,
this?
you mentioned you were doing the split crosses,
Yes.
and I'm wondering now if you know of our latest product,
No, let's hear it.
the railroad spikes.
Oh, yes, yes. I'm glad you brought that up. That was sitting in the back of my head. I had railroad spikes bringing them back in my head. Let's talk about that and why you came up with that product. So you've okay, for everybody who's listening, it's like railroad spike. So don't you just get that from the thing? Okay. The for a lot of places for that quick, easy Forge experience, like the Forge and Memory experience with Robbie Bowman and all them have been
Yep.
using the general um railroad spike that has it's a not
10,
even a medium.
1020, 1025 to 1034.
Thank you.
It's a U.S. government standard. There's no reason for people to guess or say it's this or that. The government tells you what it is, and that's what they are.
And that's great for that Forge experience and everything else. Edge retention, not so much. So what made you come up and you're casting these? And then there's another gentleman out there, and I see he's got a machine that he's making. I can't think, Andy. Andy's first.
And y'all, yep.
He's I think I'm not sure what he uses exactly, but he does some really cool stuff out of
Oh, he does.
when I first found him and everything else, and I was like, well, okay, that's cool, but he's uniform. And then somebody's like, no, dude, he's got higher carbon. I'm not sure what carbon steel he's using exactly, but what made you come up with this idea? And the reaction of it sounds pretty good. Dustin Rhodes has been using a little bit of. I've been going to get some. I just bills and taking care of the kid. I have my daughter living with me full
Yeah.
time now. Just haven't got that far to buy some yet. So, what made you to come up with that?
It it was just kind of one of those, God, is anybody ever going to do this ideas? One of those stupid things. What if we made actual high carbon spikes? And then you start thinking about it and you're like, no, that's dumb. Why would you waste your money on them? And then I'm talking to my wife and I'm like, I think these would sell. And she's like, well, you had a good year, put some money into it, see if it's a viable product. And here we are, 2 batches later. I'm getting ready to work on the third. I mean, we're 5,000 spikes out there now. Very few complaints. We've had a few technical issues because they are cast rather than forged. Occasionally, you'll get one with some porosity. When you twist it, it'll want to crumble. If that happens, let me know. I'll send you another one. Not a big deal. Um, and I like to say it was a very expensive way to win an argument with somebody.
I,
It's you got to have
okay,
fun every now and then.
I got to hear this argument. What was this argument, man? Let's hear about this. You mind if you sharing about
Oh,
this?
it's it's the old, can you drive a camel through the eye of a needle? So the guy builds a giant needle. Um, this was, you can't make a good railroad spike knife from a real railroad spike. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll make a real railroad spike. So
And
um,
are you in-house in this, or is this coming in from somewhere else?
no,
Or
it's coming in from overseas. There's not an American railroad spike making company who is willing to run high carbon through their machines. They
understand?
don't want to risk it. They don't want to risk it. And on the other side, the ones who would, if I order a million of them, they'll do it. But I don't have $600,000 to invest in it for
Oh, come on, just do
what's
what the
really
government
just a
just open
gift.
that checkbook up and write out a check. I mean, hell,
It,
sign it U.S.
it,
government.
if I ever start the Atlas Knife and Tool Blacksmith Learing Center, it'll be there. We'll get those spikes made.
There we go. The Learing Center. Okay, I see what you did there. You kind of cut out for a second, but then it caught and let my brain like translate. Oh, okay. Um,
Sorry, we don't have the best internet here, so
that's it's been pretty good so far. So don't. I recommend. Once Starlink comes a little cheaper and gets a little bit better in my area, I'm going to switch to it because then if I go on the road, I'm going to get one of those minis that I've seen people use those mini road ones. A lot of people use it for their house and then take it on the road. That's kind of where I'd like to do. Because
Oh,
Granted, I got Wi-Fi and everything else through my phones, but you can burn data up real quick, fast on the road. So, especially my kid when we're traveling, she'd like to watch movies and such. So I think that would be a little bit better. Got a couple years, and
yeah.
then she's going to probably go, "Oh, I'm 18. I'm graduated. Bye." And then move back in, and then bye, and then move back in, kind of like what I did. But from what I've heard and seeing, um, people are liking them. I haven't heard any issue, except for what you just told me about twisting them in the proxy because it got maybe some air bubbles in it from casting.
Yep.
Um, what was the first reaction? For me personally, when I first heard about it, I'm like, that's a cool idea. I've never really thought of that. And
Uh,
like Andy, he again, I'm not sure what he's using, but he's got that machine that just stamps that head on him out of bar stock, which is really cool to see
oh
that
yeah,
old machine just ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. I'll sit there and watch it.
it is.
It'll pop up, and I'll get this is cool. So, so what was the first
Uh,
reaction to that?
I told 5 people about it. I sent out unsolicited emails. I kind of kept it secret because I didn't want somebody beating me to the punch. Um, because my products have been copied by China. I
Virus.
got a video where they copied the Atlas Mini Forge almost exactly, except they put a burner on it that was like this. And I was worried that somebody else would say, "Oh, hey, let's do that before he gets to it." So it was kind of a secret until they were ready to be released.
Nice.
I heard back from two, uh, JD Smith out of New York and Nick Rossi out of Maine.
Shout out.
Um,
I like.
JD, loved the guy. Just one of the coolest characters in knife making that I've ever met. Just exudes cool. Um, I don't know if he's making as much as he used to. He's a little up there in years. He could just be busy. I don't know. Um, Nick Nick was ecstatic about this. He's like, I want to make the first one. So
Nice.
when I got the samples in, I sent out the samples, and Nick makes this. You may or may not have seen it. It's kind of a Tonto style with a hamon on it, and it's like this is the most expensive railroad spike knife ever made
That's cool.
because Nick's just off getting his Master Smith certification. He's big on all the social media. He's big on the circuits. And it's like, he's making a knife out of my product. I love this.
That's awesome.
And it's the coolest knife. But I got one complaint about the whole situation. Nick's known for his painted fingernails. And the only time I've ever seen a picture of Nick with not painted fingernails was holding that knife he made for him.
That's funny.
It's like, nobody knows that it's Nick Rossi because the nails aren't painted.
Once you said the painted fingernails, like, okay, now who I'm talking about. His names and faces elude me, but yeah, oh, that's funny. No judgment. I mean, I fell
No,
asleep on the
I
couch a few times, and my daughter breaks out her nail polish, and I've woke up with nails and toenails, and as a matter of fact, by the time
hey,
she gets done with my halfway done with my hand, um, that's when I start smelling it, wake up. But she hasn't done that in a while, so.
oh,
Haven't you left yet? Call a reminder. Sorry,
so
it's
love
here.
Nick, great guy. He's been in the knife making community for what 30, 35 years. Extremely talented. Kind of surprised it took him so long to get the MS. He just he's one of those guys. I've always known his name as long as I've been making knives. So it was exciting to have him make the first to want to make the first knife out of.
And so, what retail wise, what are you selling these per knife and such, or
They're at $10 a piece,
which ain't bad,
which
really.
which that much 1084 would probably be 6 or 7. So there's a little upcharge, but not much.
Hmm.
I'm not making a ton of money off them.
It's a great
It's just one of
product.
those. It's one of those things. I want to help the community by making this available.
And which, helps our customers to have a better product that can actually be used instead of trying not to sharpen. Again, I've had some guys come and forge out some really cool railroad spikes and such. Um, I've actually here a while back made a railroad spike barbecue set, and I made a knife. And I got thinking, take a page out of Spicy Mike. I took a piece of 3/8 rebar, squared it off, cleaned it, attached it to that railroad spike, forge welded that together. Turned out great. Had that where you could, and I etched it so you could see the different steel, and I was able to forge that back where it, you can see that line comes nice, perfectly, and brings up for the good point and everything. That was fun. Um, Sold that to a guy down out of New Mexico. So I'm assuming it works pretty good. Heat treated, it took an edge. Uh, Thing with rebar, you don't know what the carbon's going to content that's going to be. It could be you could have this section could be 1095 or 5160 mixed with, and then a soft spot and hard. I mean, you just don't know because it is recycled. Sorry, had a hair in my mouth. Problem of having a beard. So
Yeah, rebar is one of those great unknowns. It could be anything. It could be a bumper. It could be scrap from the Gillette razor.
Pakistani knives. Oh, sorry. Did I say
Yeah,
that out loud? Sorry. Oh, we're beating them guys up. But Michael Kernley makes some. He uses spring steel and rebar. I've got one of his knives in my kitchen. I love the shit out of it. And everybody's like, "How come you don't got your own knives?" Because I hate looking at my own work because if I see something on there, it's gonna drive me nuts. I make them and sell them. I got fiberware steak knives. I really ought to break down and just build me some set of steak knives, but it's like Michael Kernley's forging with a pair of pliers, big long pliers for. He's like, I only do it because it makes everybody mad and watch. So, and I said, you know what? That's the reason why I have those fiberware knives in my kitchen because every time I take pictures, there's a thing. They're like, you're a knife maker. It makes everybody mad, and they comment. So there we go. So. Um, Definitely I'm probably gonna reach out to you because one of the churches I go to now is doing a fun we're gonna try to do a fundraiser. I talked to the pastor, we're waiting for a little bit better weather. We was thinking about doing some railroad spike knives and people come forge that and by donation to the church, we're gonna I'll have to reach out to you and see if we can make a deal on
sure.
that and use that instead of getting the cheap one. That way they have a little bit better quality. And
It, and there's the forged in fire effect that I've talked to the people that you know they put their knives on there, they heat treated them, they had never known what tempering was, and railroad spikes are kind of that way. You're always having to explain to people that these are the steps you don't see on TV. That you've then got to quench it and harden it, and spikes don't do that. And with these, it's that extra little bit that adds to the class of the fullness of knife making, the entirety of it. And that
yes,
kind of it's a little more. It's not a big deal to quench a knife. I mean, you're probably going to do that anyway with the old railroad spike. But these, they're a low manganese, so a 30-minute snap temper will usually suffice for that,
nice.
and they can still take home a regular knife that's actually properly hardened.
That's cool. And that's what I like about the feature of it. And then they was like, wow, you can buy spikes for $1 a piece. Well, yeah, but look at what better quality. I mean, even at those, it's just a simple save those railroad spikes for the blacksmithing and stuff like that for other things you can do with them. But this, you can give your customer who's coming in to have that forge experience a higher quality of knife that they can actually use that's not gonna, the edge is gonna roll on it and everything else. So not only it's gonna make you look better, but it's gonna make your customer much more happier and definitely gonna be more repeatable than like, oh,
Yep.
I don't want to go back and do that again. And I love what you came up with when I first heard about it. I'm like, wait, what? Oh, that's cool. And I heard it was casting. I'm like, wait a second, casting. Okay. And I talked to my dad about it a little bit about it. And he kind of was like, oh, I can see the advantage of casting because you can do more of it and keep the price down than then stamp stealing it out. Because, well, stamp forging is going to cost a lot more. Um, but yeah, it's a great idea. Um, I definitely need to just quit talking about it and just get a few from you. But um, I need to reach out to the Pastor Sadducks and get a little closer date. And then I'm going to do a little fundraiser. And then we're going to get some spikes from you for them. Don't know how many we're going to get. I'm thinking probably around 50 to 100 if you have them available. Because we don't know how
Oh
big,
yeah.
how much this will go. And again, people can come in, forge them. Take that back, for I won't make a dime. I'm going to donate the propane, the grinder, and the help and labor and everything, so, and the spikes. That way we can help out the church because it's a small church. He's been working on it for the last up 10 years, I think. And since Charlie Kirk, it's really he's out of for the two times I went there, it's gotten packed and packed and packed. And it was almost standing room the last time I was there. I usually just watch it online on Sundays. Need to go back. He's a great guy. He's a knife. He loves knives too, and he's collected knives over the years. Got a few of mine. His wife is one of Buster Warrenski's nieces, I believe, if I remember correctly. And if I'm not sure if you're familiar with the name Buster Warrenski, he was big back in. Go look him up, Buster Warrenski, the Gem of the Orient, and that's who was my dad's mentor. And read on some of his stuff. You'll really enjoy that reading on that. He's one of the guys from the late 70s, 80s, and into the early 90s. Big name. I think he sold that knife for $1.5 million.
Wow.
Right? You're right
Yeah.
here. So
On the spikes, there's so many different little schools out there that are just loving these. So we set up the bulk discount. Don't don't ask for a discount. I'm not making a bunch off these. They've they've already been. Sorry, that may come off wrong. Um, we put on there, took some work, but we got the bulk discount. You're buying 50 or 100, you're getting them at the same price that other resellers would get them at. So
nice.
we've already seen that and said, yeah, I don't want to make money on these. I want to get them out there and get people using them because it makes people happy. They make the knife. It's not dull after cutting open two letters. I mean, a lot of railroad spikes make letter open. These, they'll stay sharp.
Yes.
So we've already put that on there. You're going to get the bulk discount if you go on there and order 50 of them.
Sweet.
So,
Um, yeah, that's one thing about the whole discount. Don't ask for discount. That's one thing. It's kind of, you get friends and family like, oh, I get the family discount done. I'm like, no, you don't want the family discount. I charge you double. That's one thing knife makers absolutely hate. Well, if I buy this many, do I get a discount? Like, no, especially strangers. It's just like, hey, if you buy 20 of them, I might give you a deal. But that's one thing I think a lot of our customers and with Facebook and YouTube and everything else, I think people are starting to realize it, especially watching a little bit of Forge and Fire. Um, Except for a few people. What I thought, what you can't make that knife in an hour? I'm like, are you being facetious or being serious? Oh, I'm being serious. It's like, dude, Forge and Fire took 9 days from the time I flew out there till I finished to ship the Bardiche off. It took me 9 days, and I'll tell you what, I slept for a full day afterwards. It's not just what you see on TV is made for TV. You don't see the behind stuff. The few they're trying to catch dramatic shit, and pardon my French there. Um, yeah, and such like that. It's just, but I think we're like you're talking here. People are starting to see. okay, the educational part of the consumables, what it takes to make that knife. I think a lot of guys out there are giving out some really good information. And I think the customer base is starting to realize that a little bit slowly. It's going to take time, but anyway, back to you.
Yeah, I didn't I don't try to be greedy on it. I wanted to give the discount on those. Um, I have different schools and stuff. I've got educational discounts. I don't want you to have to ask for it. Just it's going to be there if you
Sweet.
want it. So they didn't have to ask. The discount's already there. Um, you mentioned the educational aspect of it. That's a lot of my time is out there trying to give out good information. When we were all learning on Shop Talk and Blade forums, we had current mastersmiths telling us how to do stuff. Now we're getting Bob, who's made one knife and then went on Forge and Fire and won, and we're taking advice from them. And I'm like, that's kind of early to be giving advice when you've made 7 knives. Well, I guess by the end of the show, he'd made 8 knives. Um, I just education. If you get good education, you're going to enjoy it more. If you get bad education, like the railroad spikes, if you don't know they're not going to stay sharp, then you're not going to enjoy it as much. Like I put all this work into it and it's dull. Like that little bit of education just makes it better for everyone.
Yes. Knowledge is key. Knowledge is power. Knowing is half the battle, as Dad would say. So, well, let's wrap this up. I don't want to monopolize your whole time here, and I gotta go get a fire started out in the shop. We finally got some winter weather. It finally rained after a month. Not much, but we finally. Everybody else has been getting the snow and rain. This is rude. Very, very rude.
So you're saying you're like us here in Des Moines. We had like a dusting of snow, like eighth of an inch, enough to cover the grass for the top of the blade of grass, but not the bottom. And
I
we
think,
haven't had
yeah,
we haven't had
we're
anything.
that's kind of weird for your area, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Everybody
We
else
had
around you is getting it, but and this is a very, very, very dry year. Hay prices, I'll probably end up eating my horses by the end of summer. um, it's we haven't had a winter like this since 2011, 2012, right in there. We've had 60-degree weather in December, January, and now February. Don't get me wrong, it's nice, but I like the colder days in front of a Ford because, as you know, it gets pretty warm, and I'm a thick boy here. So, but yeah, it's been dry. I mean, when it started raining yesterday, I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord. But well, anyway, I got one more question here, and we'll wrap things up. Um, Looking ahead, what are you planning to build on your own shop on your farm? What does that next chapter look like, and what can makers expect from Atlas in the future?
um, yeah. I am looking at building. We've got family property. I'm looking at building out there. Um, After I left the strip mall, went to the farm. I loved it out there. It's peaceful. There's wildlife, and it's just so nice out there. It's quiet. No city noises, no roads, no trucks driving by. Um, you let the dog out, and the dog runs and plays, and that's great. Um, Hopefully, we're going to start that here in the next few months. Um, what I've seen is that as I get more room, I can create more products. When I went to the farm, I had one forge. Now I've got 6. I've got 5 anvils. I'm working on grinders. I've worked on presses. Um, don't know what product's going to be next. Probably the grinders, um, because it's Atlas knife and tool, and I'm trying to make those tools.
I'll send you a video of something that you may like to see. They don't make it anymore. The things are old as I am. Matter of fact, they quit or older than I am. I'll send you a video of it. It's a 2 by
Okay.
60. I'd love to see it made in a 2 by 72. The head actually rotates. I think the patent up on it, the company down the road here, we talked about it and he's like, I don't got time for that. He wanted to try to do a little update it and such, but I'll send you a video of it. I think you'll like. So, um,
You talking the platen, like a platen of the contact wheel that rotates?
the whole head rotates
The
on the,
whole head.
yeah. You
Interesting.
got your platinum, you got a big wheel, you can turn it to your big wheel, you got one, two, three different slacks with a couple different little wheels. I have a few ideas how to upgrade it, so maybe it's something we can chat about and I'll give you my
Okay.
ideas because I'm not much of an engineer. And again, these are really cool. One stand, you can put it on a stand. There's different ways to change this up. I think would be really, really cool. But
Sure.
hey, if everybody's out been listening to this, so like, ooh, I want to get an Atlas Forge, I want to get some of these railroad spikes, get me an anvil. Where do they find you? Where can they buy? What platforms do you put out on? So drop all your
Uh,
social and your website.
okay. Atlasknife.com is our website. Um, I've gotten almost all the kicks out of it. It's a pretty smooth running website now. Um, while I was a computer guy, I was not a web guy. So I've got a guy now who does really good work with the website. Um, I've I've done Instagram and Twitter and all those. I'm just on Facebook now. They keep upping the security, and I'm like, I don't have this password that you're wanting, and just forget it. You, it takes away from the time I can spend working on tools to
Yes,
manage that stuff. Yeah.
I agree
Uh,
with that. I'm to the point when they said they were going to get rid of TikTok. I'm like, yes, please do, and it's still here. I'm like, oh,
oh yeah. I am active on Facebook. I answer a lot of questions on there. Charles Steppas Clayton. I'm sure it'll be written here in the description somewhere. Um, yep, we've got a page for the company, but again, apparently, I have sometime in the last 10 years started violating the community standards. I'm like, I've posted pictures of forges and anvils, but it has a knife in the name, so that's a violation of the standards.
I had that happen to me, and I took the knife out of my off my Facebook page, and now, and I'm not the only one now. Late, all of a sudden, we're not recommending your video to anymore. And I'm like, what the hell? And then several other people out there. I don't know what's wrong with Facebook. It got really good there for a little bit, and now it's back to being a butthole. I would
They did
love to
that.
sit.
Wow.
I would love to sit down and have a conversation with Zuckerberg. Um, and say, hey, what the deal? I mean, why? Because you get on there and you've seen it pop up in your feed. You got this Kuna knife and big what? Because they got more money than we do. Why? What? I would love to have that conversation with him on because it not only affects me, but affects the rest of my family. It's affecting you. We are
Yeah,
one big ass family, and it's like they're not all their weapons. Like no, they're not weapons. They're tools. The only time they turn into weapons is when you use it.
but the hunters out there have no problem showing what they're doing. But we mentioned the word knife, and I don't think it's Zuckerberg. I'm sure it's some Karen in an office somewhere that's like, oh, you can't do that.
And I,
But yeah, they dropped the hammer on us all last month. And
yes, I mean, we're
our,
all hitting it.
our Midwest Knife Makers Guild got hit. It's like it's a guild. It's not promoting violence. It's what community standards. They won't tell you.
Right? I'm working on a project and with a couple other people. I'm gonna kind of I'll share a little bit offline here. Once
Sure.
they get done with their other project, I think it's gonna help the community of makers from you to the silversmiths and leather workers in between. We're working on a platform. So I'll give you some details later on after this, but Hey, I hope you enjoyed being on here. I finally now the coffee's actually came. I should have got up early and just down a pot of coffee here, but it's been awesome to watch your stuff and see your stuff. I do want to get one of your blowers, and I kind of want to build my own little forge just because why not? Definitely gonna get some your blower from you and your burner and some of your cement stuff. I lost the name of
Sure.
it, but I think we pretty much covered it. Anything that you, all right, off the top of your head, do you think you want to cover or?
Would you believe this is the first podcast I've ever been invited to be on?
Woohoo! Hey, you heard it first behind the anvil. Um,
Eight, 8,000 people have my tools in their shops. This is the first time anyone's ever said, "Hey, why don't you come on the podcast?"
uh,
So I'm
hey,
excited.
well, hopefully we can get out there. It's just small. I started this back in August. It's been somebody in Singapore is downloading it like dozens of times, so that's kind of cool. Got some in Australia, seen a little bit in our retarded cousin to the north, Canada. Sorry, guys, up there. I got friends up there. Sorry. Just got to pick on them. A few times in Brazil, so hopefully there's some. This opens up some more markets for you. And that's kind of what I want to do with this podcast is behind the anvil, what it is, and I've said it a few, but it's stuff I do behind the anvil, not just knives or working on knives. Yeah, we talk about knives, but talking like companies like yourself producing the tools that we need, um, and et cetera and such. I need to jump on there and see what other listing of you stuff you got there. But yeah, it's great. I'm sure we're both going to come up later and go, oh, I should have mentioned that. So we can come back around maybe a year a bit. But I yeah, appreciate your time. I
Sure.
know I think we've been trying to hammer out a pun intended there for the last couple of weeks. It took me 3 months to get Jay on here, but he's a busy guy too. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was so cold for the last month, and then this week it warmed up, and I'm like, hey, let's do this.
all right. I wish we had
Is it?
cold and 4 feet of
Oh,
snow in the valley, 100 up in the mountains. So it's going to be a dry summer. This,
we've had below zero last week, so it's been cold.
I would love it. I really would. With snow though, with snow.
No, no
Again,
snow.
I'm a chubby boy and I like it cold. Summer times I probably going to migrate to the basement. Um, real quick, I kind of like to do this called words of wisdom. Is there anything parting words of wisdom for people out there for either from makers to journeymen, people getting into it, to share your words of advice?
Uh, just stay safe and have fun.
As
I mean,
Brad would say in the shop, safety glasses.
just remember, we're all doing this to have fun. We there's still not that many people making a living doing this, so just have fun. It's a hobby.
Hobby I get paid for, and that's the best thing about it. So,
Yep.
um, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's a wrap. I think we've had fun. What would be really cool, is get Emily and your wife together on a podcast and talk a little bit more about I just murdered the Bulgaria.
Bulgaria.
That would
Yeah.
be cool. If you ever get a chance, reach out to Emily. Listen to it's episode 11. You can catch it on
Okay.
Spotify. It's on YouTube. She's a great gal. She makes some beautiful stuff. She's got a big heart. Hearing her story was pretty cool. It's like, man, we're spoiled in this country. So I could just imagine this. I would love to hear your wife's story of growing up over there too, and listen, compared to both. But that would be cool to have them both on there. So hey, just throwing
That,
that out there.
yep. There's always unique perspectives
Yes.
coming out of someone from a former Soviet country.
Well,
So
it was not really so according to Emily, it was heavily Soviet influence, but it wasn't really a
influence.
Soviet
Yeah.
influence. I think I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that episode again just to remind myself. But all right, hey, that's why I'm gonna say, everybody, stay sharp, America, and remember, there's only one King, and that's named Jesus Christ, our Savior. If you haven't met him yet, get on your knees and say hello. So, um, yeah, I think we're good. So.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, and stay tuned right after I hit the stop button. Catch us next time on Behind the Anvil.